So guys, Christian Parker didn't just walk through the Cowboys door as another coordinator following someone else's footprints. Jerry Jones handed him real authority over this roster, and the way CP moved in free agency and influenced the draft tells you exactly what kind of defense he is here to build. This is not an adjustment. This is a complete identity overhaul. And because of that, I genuinely believe there are names on this current roster, guys who thought their spot was safe, who are not going to be on this team when that 53-man roster gets finalized. What's up, Cowboys? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Cowboys. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Before we get into all of that, though, I want to take a moment because there is some genuinely sad news that came out recently, and I think it is important that we acknowledge it. Former Cowboys quarterback Craig Morton passed away over the weekend at the age of 83. Craig Morton was drafted by the Cowboys 5th overall back in 1965. He came in as the backup to Don Meredith and patiently waited his turn before eventually becoming the starter in the 1969 season. Craig Morton played 18 seasons total across the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Broncos before officially retiring after the 1982 season. Rest in peace, Craig Morton, a real and permanent piece of Cowboys history, and our thoughts and prayers go out to his family, his friends, and everyone who loved him during this difficult time. All right, now before I dive into the roster bubble conversation, I want to share a quick update regarding George Pickens, because you know how can we miss an updates about this, and this time it's directly from Jerry Jones. You know what? I am still a little blown away that people were genuinely out here questioning whether the Cowboys were going to keep George Pickens around. Like, did we not all watch the same 2025 season? This man put up amazing numbers. That is not the guy you move on from. That is not even a guy you have a serious conversation about letting go. And now Jerry Jones is out here talking to Yahoo Sports, saying he has even higher expectations for Pickens this coming season. Jerry specifically said he wants George more involved earlier in games, right from the very beginning, not eased in gradually over the first few weeks like we saw at the start of last year. And honestly, I get that completely, because the early usage of George Pickens in the 2025 season was a little puzzling if we're being real. It felt like the coaching staff did not fully know how to deploy him alongside CeeDee Lamb right away. But then CeeDee goes down against the Chicago Bears, Pickens steps into that lead role, and he goes absolutely off. That is when the real connection between him and Dak Prescott was genuinely built, and when CeeDee came back, all three of them found a rhythm together that was just hard to stop. Now look, this is year 2 of Pickens and Schottenheimer's offense. Year 2 means the playbook is not new anymore. Brian Schottenheimer already knows from real experience that he cannot just use George on slants and treat him as the secondary option only. He knows Pickens can be the primary target in any game, at any moment, in any situation. Jerry Jones himself said this season is George's opportunity to prove every doubter completely wrong and show the entire league he deserves that big long-term money. I fully expect Pickens to come out and do exactly that. No drama in camp, no distractions leading into the season, just George Pickens doing what he does on the biggest stage in football. And you know Dak Prescott is going to make sure he gets his opportunities. This whole situation is genuinely a win for everybody involved, and I am here for all of it. Okay, now let's get into the real heart of today's video, because with Christian Parker now in the building and this new defensive identity being installed, some guys already on this roster are going to feel that pressure real fast. Let's go through these bubble players honestly and one by one. Now, before moving on, let me be clear with you. The primary reason for adding these guys to this bubble list is that you know CP is going to install a completely new defense scheme. So it's obvious some players will adjust, but some will not. Just like you need new pieces, you also need to let go of some names. So this is not something personal. It's all about the Cowboys. Okay, starting with Markquese Bell. Look, there are already off-field concerns hovering over him after getting pulled over by the police and some things being found during that stop. Now, from what we know, it does not seem like something that is going to lead to any serious legal consequences. But the question of whether Roger Goodell steps in with some kind of suspension is still very much out there. And honestly, even completely setting all of that aside, his time here feels like it is running out on pure football reasons alone. They tried him at linebacker, he got run all over, moved him back to safety, and now with Christian Parker reshaping this defense and bringing in Jalen Thompson, PJ Locke, and a guy I genuinely like in Elijah Clark, this position group is getting crowded fast. Elijah Clark is someone I believe is going to take a real step forward this year, and he contributes on special teams on top of that. When you stack all of that competition up, Bell is hanging on by a very thin thread right now, and I think most honest Cowboys fans know it. Then there is Marist Liufau, right? So now they want to move him to an outside linebacker in the 3-4 scheme. I mean, honestly, if you ask me, the position that actually fits him naturally is safety, not linebacker, and definitely not edge rusher. But regardless of where they line him up, the fit with this Cowboys team just has not been right. He was a high draft pick, so they are absolutely going to give him his legitimate shot in training camp, but I think he is more of a camp body situation than a guy who locks down a permanent roster spot under CP new system. His only real saving grace is going to be a genuine standout performance on special special teams or an injury somewhere on the depth chart opening a door for him. Then Sam Williams on the defensive line is honestly in the same exact boat. One sack all of last season. Multiple defensive coordinators have come through this building trying to find something in this guy, and not one of them could unlock it. He had a low ceiling coming into the league, and he has already bumped his head on it hard. Now you have got Tyrus Wheat on this roster, and I think Tyrus Wheat is just a better football player right now. Better bend, better hand technique, better pass rush upside going forward. Sam Williams is sitting on a cheap one-year deal, and that alone kind of tells you everything about where the organization stands on him heading into this camp. They are giving him one final look, but I would not be surprised at all when his name shows up on that final cut list. Now, I quickly want to mention some offensive players as well. Starting at quarterback, Dak Prescott is locked in. No question at all. The real question is what happens behind him between Sam Howell and Joe Milton. This backup battle is honestly more interesting than most people are giving him credit for right now. Sam Howell brings real NFL starting experience to the table. He has been in live game situations, handled genuine pressure, and shown he can carry a real workload. But Joe Milton is the guy the Cowboys traded a draft pick to go get. The front office spent real capital on him, and organizations do not just walk away from that kind of investment without a thorough and serious evaluation first. Joe Milton has the arm strength, the physical tools, and the developmental ceiling that make a front office want to be patient. If the Cowboys end up keeping only 2 quarterbacks on the active 53-man roster, this decision could honestly come down to roster politics and organizational investment just as much as anything happening on the practice field. Sam Howell has the experience edge without question, but Joe Milton has the front office buy-in behind him. Watch this competition closely all the way through preseason, because it is genuinely not as settled as people think. At tight end, I will just say it directly. Luke Schoonmaker and Brevyn Spann-Ford are both firmly on the bubble, and I think the Cowboys are mentally ready to move on from both of them. They were looking seriously at tight ends even during the draft, and now they have brought in Michael Trigg and DJ Rogers. People keep overlooking DJ Rogers, but this guy can genuinely play football. Good hands, solid route tree, and he looks more polished overall than Brevyn Spann-Ford did coming in undrafted with very limited college production that never really translated. And then finally, Jonathan Mingo. You know, at some point you just have to face reality. Injuries, unavailability, limited production when he has actually been on the field. It has been a mess from beginning to end. That trade was a loss for everybody involved, and the front office, Jerry, Steven, Will McClay, all of them have to own that one. Right now, Jonathan Mingo is a camp body at absolute best. When you honestly stack him up against Trayshawn Holden, who is heading into year 2 with a real established relationship already built with the wide receiver coaching staff, or Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who has genuinely shown he can perform at a high level in this league when healthy, Jonathan Mingo simply does not fit this roster anymore. Cut ties clean, take the loss, and give the guys who have actually shown something a real legitimate opportunity to contribute. That is how you build real depth on a roster the right way. Well, left to right. So guys, that is the full picture right now. Christian Parker is completely overhauling what this Cowboys defense is going to look and feel like. The George Pickens situation is trending in a genuinely great direction, and there are some real roster battles coming that are going to be fascinating to watch play out. Let me know in the comments who you think survives the cuts and who gets sent home. Like the video, share it, and I will catch you on the next one. DC4L.